WBOB.com. 990WBOB.com is an independent free media outlet.
Live from the world headquarters of 990WBOB.com in the original 13th colony, spreading truth, slaying lies, a one-man gang in the war to restore freedom and liberty. Dan Bidondi.
All right, everybody, welcome to this Tuesday, August 18th, 2020 edition of the Dan Bidondi Show right here on 990WBOB.com. And the title of tonight's broadcast is called America's Presidential Elections and the New World Order. So we're going to be joining with us about 5 minutes from now. A good friend of mine, like a brother, John Hall. He's a host of The Cutting Edge on NYUC TV. That's nystv.org. A good old Kentuckian. Anyway, he's going to be joining me for the broadcast, and we're going to be shooting the poop, if you want to call it that, about the presidential elections. And, because it's amazing, because our elections affect the entire world. Isn't that amazing? You have elections in Russia, elections in every other country in the world, but the presidential elections of the United States of America affect everybody. Everybody looks to these elections, and it's amazing, it really is. And we're one of the youngest countries in the world. But yet, the entire world looks to the United States elections as if, it's the end-all, be-all, whatever the case you want to put it. So we're going to talk about that and a lot of spiritual stuff, too. I've just got to go around the table, if you want to put it that way. President Trump, Vice President Pence going against Biden, Uncle Creepy Joe, and Kamala Harris. No, not the Kamala Harris from WWE. That was the real Kamala Harris, okay? The Ugandan head hunter, Kamala. Anyway, he ended up passing away last week, God rest his soul. But the evil Kamala, okay, which is a woman, okay, she's disgusting. So, anyway, she, whatever, okay, you never know anymore. Okay, he, she, whatever the case, is Joe Biden's pick for vice president. So, there goes the pea popper. Anyway, I want to reveal, too, the release of my new documentary movie. It's called Mystery of the Great Seal, The Birth of the New World Order. It's available now on truthradioshow.com, or if you go to my YouTube channel, Truth Radio Show, both linked to the same thing, and it's amazing. It's a 49-minute documentary movie on the all-CNI, the dollar bill, the symbology about it, regardless of what you heard on TV. So it was myself, the late Doc Marquis, the former Illuminati, who's been on the show several times, and also David Carrico from NYUC TV as well. So it's very informative, down to the point, and again, the 49 minutes, right to the point, a lot of information within that 49 minutes. So again, tonight's broadcast, America's presidential elections and the New World Order. So the New World Order, basically, it all derives off what happens here. And we've been talking about the New World Order since the first day I stepped foot in the station. I think that was back in 2009, 2010, when the station first started. And, we've been talking a lot about that. And once again, the entire fulcrum of this whole world government focuses around the United States. Our elections, once again. And the globalists, they want President Trump out. And yes, I support President Trump for the most part. Definitely got to vote for him over Joe Biden. That's a given. But do I worship President Trump? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? He's got some flaws, and like anybody else. So, you know what I mean? So, I'm not a cheerleader for Trump. I don't make excuses for his wrongdoings. Actually, I hold his feet to the fire, because I'm always yelling and screaming on my Facebook account when he does something wrong. You know what I mean? That's what we're supposed to do with each other, especially leaders. If they do something wrong, it is our job to hold them accountable for what they're doing wrong. You know what I mean? Plain and simple. We cannot make excuses for them. And now you got the diehard Trump supporters. I mean, the guy could blow up a school, okay? This is only using an example here. And they would still make excuses for him. That's wrong, you know what I mean? And like I said, I support President Trump for the most part, but things he is doing wrong right now, he should be lighting Joe Biden up, literally. And, this whole stuff, all the stuff going on right now, I mean, in Portland, Seattle, why are they allowing these people to get with this stuff? Now, you know what I mean? Like, he should be putting his foot down, and if I was a president, I'd be moving in there right away. It's like, you know what? If you don't allow the police to do their job, I'll get regular police to go in there and do it for them. And all President Trump has to do is say, hey, my Patriots, go out to Seattle and Portland and take care of business. this stuff would be over literally overnight. Overnight, those terrorists called Antifa and Black Lives Matter will be wiped off the face of the earth. Literally. If Trump was to say on TV, I want my patriots to roll in there and take action. Clean those streets up. And the patriots, like the Bikers for Trump, regular patriots of all different Second Amendment groups and everything else, they would literally wipe the streets with these people. It wouldn't even be a contest. But, Seattle and Portland, these cities are burning down. It's disgusting what's going on there. And nobody's doing nothing about it. Everybody's just sitting around, and the other thing we got is this Q thing. Oh, well, we got to wait for the plan. It's like, you know what? I don't trust Q. And good reasons for that. I've been around long enough in this business, this industry, if you want to call it, and, truth-seeking and whatnot, to know damn well that you don't trust something called Q, especially people who hide their identity, give you mysteries and clues. All right, that sounds like some kind of maniacal person, like a Joker out of a Batman movie. They'll tell you what they got to do. They'll tell you what's going to go on, no doubt, but they'll give you clues and riddles, make you guessing of what's going to go on. Then you got these videos out there, they go out and say, oh, we decoded what Q was trying to tell us. People, real whistleblowers, like Edward Snowden and all them, they just came out and told you what's going to happen. Who's going to do what, and that's it. Where they were whistleblowing about the NSA and everything else. So real whistleblowers, real truth tellers don't hide who they are, unless they live in some country they're under threat, whatever the case, but we're in the United States of America. Just tell the people directly what's going to go on, who's going to do it. You don't leave people guessing. That's my problem with Q. And the only plan I do trust is something called the Holy Bible. That's the only plan that I trust, 100%. Other than that, I don't trust any other plan. So before John gets here, so John, you can call in now if you want. If you're listening, transmission from Cranston, Rhode Island to Kentucky. So call in now if you want, brother. That's cool. And yeah, John Hall, he's again the host of The Cutting Edge on IUC TV. I'm on the show a lot too. It was awesome. I was down in Kentucky 2 Thursdays ago, not last Thursday, but the one before, into Monday. And it was pretty exciting. And I was in Indiana, I'm sorry. So I met up with John Hall and all the guys from IUC TV, John Pounders and David Carrico and their wives and everything else. It was a great time. We did some videoing, filming and all that stuff. So check it all out on IUCTV.com, nystv.org, I'm sorry. And that's awesome. So the New World Order, basically. So the globalists out there, what they do is they put people in position, in power. So everybody and their mother thought Hillary Clinton was going to be the president of the United States in 2016, and it literally took the hand of God to interfere with the elections because, voter fraud, all this stuff that was heavily going against President Trump. And he ends up winning by a landslide. All the polls showed Hillary was going to win. Here's the thing about my thing about polls. So polls are garbage. Because here's the thing. Every time you see a poll, did you take part of that poll? So what they do is they take 10,000 people, most of the time they're all liberals, and they'll put a poll out there, and look, America wants Joe Biden in office, 51%. Really? So you got to estimate 10,000 people, and 51% of, which is about, a little over 5,000, you got to take 6,000, I should say. You got to take whatever the case, okay? 5,000 people, and you got to dictate that for the rest of the American public. That's, we've not taken part in any of those polls. So the polls are garbage. All the time you see polls. All it is to push somebody or make somebody look bad. So when the elections come, polls don't matter at that point. It's whoever goes to the box and votes. And which they're doing this year, we're going to talk about too, is that they are trying to stifle that with the mail-in ballots. And here's the thing with these liberals. So, President Trump, he's just trying to take away from the post office. It's safe for us to vote by mail. But, it's okay for you to stand in line at Walmart, at your grocery stores and all. That's okay, which is, okay with me. But it's not okay to go stand in line at a voting booth. What's the difference? So we got on the phone right now. We got a guest, John Hall from IUC TV, The Cutting Edge. What's up, John?
Hey, what's going on, Dan? Calling down here from Kentucky. Just got done watching Andy Teletubby Brashear give us what for on the coronavirus pandemic. I'm getting a little bit upset stomach down here. I don't think anti-acid is going to do it. The guy's about as confused as a fart in a fan factory. It's absolutely nuts down here, and I can't even imagine. He's not even half the politician that you got in Gina Raimondo up there. You talking about whacked out. I sit there and did a comparison of Andy Teletubby Brashear down here and your Gina Raimondo up there. And I'm going, man, I'm glad he's not as nefarious as she is, but he's a brand new politician. I know you guys have been talking about President Trump, the election, what's going on down here. I just want to say this. Did you guys see what Nancy Pelosi did Sunday afternoon? She called the House of Representatives back on this post office, this USPS disaster that CNBS or CNSBNC. I can't even see what they are.
The alphabets.
CBS. Thank you. I mean, I get so upset about these things. But anyways, let me calm down for a second. She called the House of Representatives back, and we pay 533 congressmen and women at least $7,436,000 a year each to run all their offices and businesses. She's calling it back a month early to vote on the post office to do what? To keep the standards as is as of January 1st, 2020. Why are they doing that? Because the Democrats know that mail-in voting is the easiest target of mail fraud, as voter fraud ever. And so that's why they're doing this stuff. But, you know, the American public forget their history, and that's what gets me so upset when I sit down here and I'm like you, Dan. I watch all of this unfold, and I'm barking and I'm screaming, but you can only bark and scream so much. Mm-hmm. People just don't want to know it, they don't want to hear it, and they just let it roll over them. And the next thing they know, they're getting forced vaccination because they've allowed this progressive communism to set in, especially in our urban cities. Did you know that almost 64 of our major cities in the United States are run by liberal mayors in this country? Wow. Which, you know, if you look at it in the tier, it goes upwards. Everything goes upwards, and they're trying to steal the presidency of the United States. You got Kamala Harris, who's now being touted as the first black vice president. Well, in 2016, out in California, she ran on a ticket that she was the first Indian as far as being voted in, as far as a DA or assistant DA or senator, whatever she was out there. It's absolutely identity politics, and that's what the Democratic Party is running on. And when they call in the House of Representatives and spend your tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen, your tax dollars, they're spending billions of dollars just to vote to keep Trump from securing the mail system in the United States. He put in this guy not too long ago, this bureaucrat. And of course, you know, this guy is a donor. I think his name is Jody or something like that. He's a donor of Trump. But if you look at Obama's administration, the entire administration was Obama administration donors. So don't give me that stuff. The guy was picked because he knows how to save money, get the mail delivered on time, but you can't do it in a matter of 3 months. And all of a sudden, you know, Nancy Pelosi has had 40 some odd years to fix the USPS, right?
Yep.
40 some odd years. She's had the gavel several times in her hand, opted to not do anything about it. Why is she doing something about it now? She's making it political. And not only that, Dan, she's also dragging the bureaucrat in, the head of the USPS, in this coming Monday while the RNC is starting their first up as far as getting their conference going on. If this is not absolutely holding the American people in contempt, it is absolutely insane what we're seeing. It's not slowing down. And if you've ever read or heard any pastor, preacher, priest out there speak on Matthew 24, where the sorrows begin, ladies and gentlemen, we're in it. Mm-hmm. The globalists are rolling, and they're not stopping. And of course, they're out in the open with it, blatantly out in the open with it. Did you see the last conspiracy theory that came out from the Democrats that President Trump was uplifting all kinds of USPS postal service drop-offs? Is that not insane? You can't do that.
It is.
You shouldn't do that.
You know, it is too, Nancy, I think it's the 14th Amendment. I forget exactly what amendment it was off the top of my head. Under, like basically, when the presidential race takes place, this is a scary part. And I think this is why Nancy Pelosi is doing this. If because it's going to take months for them to reel in all these ballots and count them and all that. So that's being done on purpose, because here's what happens. Until the election's decided, guess who takes the throne as president of the United States? The Speaker of the House. Until they get a final decision of who won the presidency. So that would mean, God forbid, Nancy Pelosi being president of the United States of America. That's insane, man.
She's about as windy as a fart in a hurricane. I'll tell you what, when she called him in, and now she's spending our tax dollars. And, you know, everybody's like, well, we don't see that money. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're $23 trillion in debt in the United States. These politicians have had decades of back and forth telling us they're going to fix this, they're going to fix that, fighting amongst one another. Here's the situation with the USPS, and this is what bothers me the most. is that it's an election year. Yes, we've got what the government deems a pandemic, which I call a plandemic.
Yep.
You crash the economy, you crash people's hopes and dreams, especially, we were going into 2020 probably steamrolling. Trump had the economy absolutely blazing. And I don't care if you're dead set against Trump or for him, you cannot deny the fact the economy in the United States was rolling.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden the economy's crashed, it's tanked, you can't go worship, you can't do this, you got to wear a mask, you're going to get fined. We're going to end up like Melbourne, Dan. We're going to end up like New Zealand now, where they're putting their folks in coronavirus gated facilities, which is absolutely insane. But see, that's what the left wants to do in this country. That is what they're steamrolling. They've got 64 democratically led out of the 100 cities, largest cities in the United States, covered. They've got the governorships covered, and they are steamrolling over the American people. Those who are woke, it's absolutely no wonder we're called the remnant. That's what we're called. But, we are not without fire. We are not without righteous indignation to shout back at them to say, this is wrong. The Apostle Paul used the Roman law like it was butter. He went in and out of the Roman and used their law against them, never once going against God's law, but he knew how to do it, and he's a good example for us. And what was his example? Christ Jesus. We need to be rational, regional individuals where we're at and be able to speak up in the light of evil that we're seeing. Children right now are being put on school buses across the nation, wherever schools are open, and they're made to wear masks on inside the bus, which is absolutely insane. It is, the globalists are wanting control, and they're using this system, this plandemic, to not only steal the election, but to also enslave the American people. And we need to stand up and say enough is enough.
Look at Germany. They had that giant and the news said it was like 100,000. Come to find out, it was 1.5 million people, at least, that stood up in Berlin, Germany, against this whole Corona lockdown, and they protested against it.
I mean, it is. And of course, you had Mrs. Obama, Mr. Obama. Forgive me, audience, for saying that, but if you watched her last night, you would have seen the stubbles on her chin. And they couldn't hide it because it was like on a cam, right? I thought they would CGI out. And then she made this statement, Dan, can you believe this? It was subliminal, but I bet you got it. Did you hear where she said,
I didn't get
making the threat, if you think things cannot possibly get worse, they're going to, trust me, they can and they will. What kind of message is that? What is she saying, Dan? Is she saying the riots that we're seeing in the urban cities are going to get worse? Heck, there's over 2,200 people that have been shot and wounded in Chicago. If that's not a war zone and she's saying it's going to get worse, what do you think's coming down the pike, Dan? You think that was a subliminal message to the American people? If we don't win, it's going to get way worse?
Absolutely. And they're already starting to go into the rural areas in Portland. So, that's going to start happening everywhere. And it's, if these people go into the wrong neighborhoods, it's going to turn into a war zone. I mean, like all over the country, man. And Texas, they're starting to run Antifa out, but there's places like Portland and Seattle where majority of them are Antifa, whatever the case. And, people who live in those areas need to leave that place or whatever the case. And it's going to get worse, you're right. In Chicago, they don't talk about all the kids that got shot by gangbangers and no gold coffins for them, no big extravagant funerals for them, no VIPs and celebrities coming down to support them and pay for their funerals. Nope. Well, that kid Cannon that was just killed, he's one of many of the kids that were killed by that maniac that was shot in the head, shot the kid in the head and everything else. And nothing for the kids. Black Lives Matter don't care about the kids. All they care about is defending criminals. You know what I mean? If the kid was a criminal, they would have been, oh man, they would have had protests everywhere. Sickening, really is.
Of course, Lightfoot up in Chicago just about a week ago, she was very upset because downtown was being rioted, and the businesses that donate to her campaign were being busted in and vandalized like it was nobody's business. So she gets upset. She says, we're going to put her foot down. Nothing's happening because they were rioting in last night.
Yep.
And, of course, it looked like Gotham City when they brought up the drawbridges around downtown. It was kind of eerie. It was an eerie sight. But anyways, I digress. I'm getting back to the elections. If you look at the DNC last night, the way they catered them through, you got Republican after Republican coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a case that they were never Republicans. You got Kasich coming out absolutely dogging the administration. Again, I'm like Dan. I have absolutely put President Trump's feet to the fire when he's done something that is unconstitutional or unmoral. I have done so. But in this instance, ladies and gentlemen, if he is not back in the presidency again, we are going down the road of globalism at a faster pace than you can shake a stick at. Just look at Governor Abbott. Dan, Governor Abbott has now made wearing a mask around family, even in your backyard. You have to, what is wrong with these governors? They know the truth, that this is a pandemic, that the masks do not filter out the COVID-19 in any way. The microns don't match up. Yet they're pushing this agenda, Republicans and Democrats alike. Americans, we need to stand up and hold the line. You need to know your rights. Read the Constitution. Read the Bill of Rights. Make yourself aware. Make sure you're taking care of your family where you're at, in your homes and in your communities, because the government is absolutely out of its mind at this moment. And the money that they're spending for power, again, I say Nancy Pelosi called the House of Representatives back early, a month early. Do you even know how much that cost the American people just to vote to keep the post office the same as it was on January 1st, 2020? If that is not insane. But Donald Trump and his, I have to say, genius today came out and they absolutely did it on before they voted on it. So they're just wasting money when they come back on Monday anyways. Donald Trump was smart. He's a businessman. They can't keep up with him, but at the same time, he's up against the entire Petalwood. He's up against all the mass marketing media as far as Mockingbird goes, and he is absolutely up against his own party. So brothers and sisters, stand up, say something, do something, be proactive. Do not allow them to control your lives. You are a free person under the banner of God in this nation. You are a child of Jesus Christ, and act like it. Be courageous. Put on the armor as we're told to, so that we can confront these things both in love and courageous courage. But we can only do it under the banner of God. So I'm sorry, Dan, I'm taking up a lot of time, but there's so much going on, man. There's so much to talk about.
No, when somebody's on fire, man, I just let it go, man. I don't step in, man. That's good, and you're right, because here around we had anti-mask law. At the time it was mask mandate, which is, police ended up coming out with the work police, North Providence, and the rest of them after said we told the governor we're not enforcing no mandatory mask crap. So we got better things to do, and that's a lot of commemoration for the police here in Rhode Island. But we were having rallies for that, and we had about 200-300 people show up for the rallies when there should have been thousands. You know what I mean? And like I said, in Berlin, and I was looking at this, and Berlin, Germany, 1.5 million people, and I'm looking to myself, who's really the land of the free, home of the brave? We should have 1.5 million people in Washington, D.C., and, storming that, the White House to say enough is enough, knock this crap off, you know what I mean? But, then you got the other side, because I've been asking myself, too, where are the patriots, where are these people? And I actually answered my own question when I talked about Q, because everybody's sitting around with their thumbs in their bums, waiting for Q to do something, you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's like, oh, trust in the plan, Dan, don't worry about it. Oh, I am worried about it, and I'm worried about you for trusting in a plan from some maniacal maniac that's controlling Q.
Well, speaking of Q, I have to give Q kudos on a few instances, and I do not trust everything that comes out of Q. And again, Dan, I'm just like you. You verify. Okay, I understand the information, but until you verify it and can absolutely pinpoint it, then it's just hearsay. And again, we cannot. It's almost like reading scriptures, brothers and sisters. You have to be diligent. You have to be diligent. The good word says, that there's a great deception coming, and we are up against a very, very ancient, a very powerful demonic force, and we must be on our game. And the only way to do that is to be in the knowledge and the word of God in our lives, and absolutely understanding the laws that we're subject to in this country, so that when they do something unconstitutional, you can take them to court, and it's not unbiblical to do so. When your rights are being infringed upon, you live in this country. Protect yourselves. Do not cower. That is what the media has been doing. Every 2 hours, the news cycles have come out. Every 2 hours. It's absolutely insane to intimidate, to scare, to cause anxiety, to make people depressed, to make them take more medications.
Yep.
You name it. It is geared to do that.
Well, look at last week, man. Last week we had a major victory. Last week in California, the governor said, "Oh, we're going to confiscate all high-capacity magazines." The court stepped in because of the gun rights advocates. They stepped in, brought it to court. Now the Supreme Court's ruled that it's anti-constitutional to limit magazines to 10 rounds. So a huge victory in California. You know what I mean? And I know right now there's a lot of legislation going. Litigation going on in California about them shutting the churches down and everything else. And the courts, if they honor the Constitution, they're going to tell Governor Newsom in California, you have no authority or right to tell the churches they can't gather, especially sing. Are you out of your mind, Governor? You know what I mean? So we can use the courts in our system. You're right.
Governor Newsom's about as worthless as a gum on a boot tail. I'm telling you what, that guy has, he's like a BB in a boxcar. He gets his ideas, and of course, if you've done any history on Kamala Harris herself, you would find out that Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris are pretty good buddies. I mean, she is totally from California, and we're looking at the elections, President Trump, all of what's going on. Governor Newsom, they're best of buddies. And, of course, a lot of money is tied in between them. And, of course, Kamala Harris used Gavin Newsom as an up-and-rising politician out there. And it's just worse. I mean, even, what was that, Smollett guy? That's in her camp. And if anybody's done any history on her, it's absolutely insane. But Californians right now are under the gun. I mean, millions of people are without power. This is under Governor Newsom, man. Millions of people are without power. Fires are absolutely out of control, and the people are being oppressed by
Look at the 10 cities.
Coronavirus.
The 10 cities right in Pelosi's hometown.
It's absolutely insane. Completely and utterly insane. And hey, I'm changing the subject. I'm sorry, Dan. I got to
go for it.
Man, this is going to be exciting. It's on front page news everywhere right now. I don't know how long it's going to stay, but Bill Clinton's going to be speaking tonight at the DNC, right? Bill Clinton. All of a sudden, I turned on the computer this afternoon, and what did I see? Him and this young lady that giving him a massage with Jeffrey Epstein. I thought to myself, President Trump is pretty genius. Whoever he got to get this out there is absolutely crazy. But he's live tonight, and this is splashing newspapers across the nation, which totally surprised me. Did you see that?
Yeah, yep.
He's going to be speaking tonight. You talking about awkward, but I don't think that guy has any emotions or feelings for anybody other than his family or those in his close circle. I mean, look at the death toll that's strewn out behind these two. It's crazy. But he's going to be speaking tonight at the DNC, and at the same time across the nation. Hopefully every newspaper is flashing this across Bill and the Epstein victims. It's crazy. If you guys have not seen it, it's in your face. And, of course, the Democratic Party is absolutely going to turn their nose up and ignore it.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to ignore this, Dan. And
behind the curtains, they're probably all applauding. Oh, she was such a beautiful girl, Bill. Probably 12 years old. It's disgusting. But, yeah. And they don't care. They have no conscience to care. And they know they're more than likely going to get away with it. And speaking of that, we're on a subject, too. This is what the media don't touch at all. And thousands, not hundreds, and I'm not talking about the little pedophiles that live in these creepy old apartments, whatever the case. I'm talking about high-level pedophiles that run sex trafficking and all that. Thousands of them have been taken out by Trump's task force. The media's not even talking about that. Thousands of them since he's been in, that they go after these big-time people that have child pedophilia and all this other stuff. They film these movies, discussing stuff, and nobody's even talking about that.
Well, I've been watching this guy, this sheriff down in Florida. His name is Grady Judd. And if you're not familiar with him, you can look him up on YouTube. But he's a constitutionalist sheriff.
Yes.
And he's a breath of fresh air. If you guys have not tuned in, check him out. It's pretty cool to watch. But not just too long ago. Just a couple of months ago, he captured like 103 or 108 pedophiles down in Florida. They set up this sting, and they catch these pedophiles. This is running rampant in the United States. 800,000 children go missing in the United States each year. And why is not the media saying one word about it? Any president saying one word about it? Well, we finally got one. We got one saying something about trafficking, and all of a sudden he's given law enforcement in the United States the power to go after these people. And the other side does not like it. And it is throwing a hissy fit. Look at Portland. Look at Chicago. Look at Atlanta. Look at all the major urban cities in the United States. They're throwing a massive hissy fit because we're taking away that spiritual aspect to their absolute evil, nefarious tactics. And guys, look at it. It's in both parties. You've got George Bush, Secretary of State Colin Powell, coming out and endorsing Joe Biden. You've got the former John McCain's widow coming out and endorsing Joe Biden. You've got these so-called Republicans, which is kind of nice for all of us. So at least the secular world could say, well, they were never Republicans in the first place. There is a war going on, not only political, not only in each of our urban cities, but there's a spiritual war going on, brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
And we need to shore up our relationship with Jesus Christ right now. This is not some cliche. This is not some absolute over-the-top Southern Baptist thing, guys. This is a relationship with the Messiah. Because if you think you're going to be able to take on whatever comes down the pipe by yourself, you're in a world of hurt. Because if you do not have Christ on your side and you die for whatever reason, that's it. You don't get any second chances. So right now, better to do it on this side of eternity and beginning to do it His way so that you can absolutely see and have the scales peeled off your eyes so you can see these people for who they are and the agenda that they're pushing, and you can navigate you and your family through it the best ability, keeping your family fed, keeping your family healthy. And here's another thing, Dan. I just want to just say this. Why isn't any government scientist, why isn't any government doctor coming out saying, eat a healthy diet, wash your hands, sing the birthday song, do some exercise, juice for a week? Why aren't they giving us homeopathic things to take care of us? Because there's no money in it.
Nope.
Bill and Melinda Gates fund 10 of the COVID-19 vaccination companies. They funded it. The American government pulled us out of the WHO, gave them that money. Now they're getting ready to gear up to give our kids the vaccination. They're shuffling them into school. They're in like sardine cans. We're being set up. And the left, guys, if you don't see it, Dan, I'm election selection kind of guy. I'm back and forth. Does the election, is it really count if my vote goes in? Does it not really count? I'm like teeter-tottering on both sides of this situation. But I'm going to tell you guys this. If Kamala Harris gets in the office, she will be president. There's a guarantee on that because Joe Biden is 77. He is 77. And back in the 80s, if you guys didn't know it, he had a massive stroke. A massive stroke. If that doesn't unsettle your stomach, I don't know what will. And not only that, he had a blood clot that hit his heart. Now we're talking about a 77-year-old man that can barely keep a sentence straight.
Yeah.
Okay? He can barely keep a sentence straight. And I'm not making fun of him right now. What I'm telling the American people, he is a puppet. They set him up. Kamala Harris, there's a place called gov.track. And you can track all these people's voting histories, all their statements, how the Congress votes and sees them. Kamala Harris is the third worst voting senator in Congress today. Third worst. She doesn't show up for a job. She's more out doing campaign and fundraising than anything else. Not only that, she is absolutely she's not bipartisan. She votes one side only. 15% of the time, she voted with the other side on legislation. 15%.
Yep.
She is the worst
Oh, yeah.
at it. And yet, this is what the left props up to us. And the reason why they want to do this is because they have an agenda. Each of the urban cities that you see, brothers and sisters, if you're living in a rural area right now, that's coming to you. That's coming to you if these two get in office because the train has left the station and it's rolling downhill and there's no stopping it. We've got to put a stop in it. And the only way we can do it is stand up, know our rights, and speak up. And when they take us into court, like Jesus said, they're going to take us into the synagogues. Know your rights, not only under American laws, so that you can protect yourself, and that's not a sin to do that, guys. But know your rights under God's, because when the government tells you to do something that goes beyond what God tells you to do, then you are to draw the line and hold the line. We're not to cross it. God will protect you. And it's not a cliche to say that. You have to wait on Him. You have to wait on Him, and
Absolutely.
He will guard us.
Absolutely, man. And the scary thing is, too, if, God forbid, Joe Biden wins, by the time for his re-election, he's going to be 81 years old, 82 years old, somewhere in that area. And we know, I mean, I'll say it now, if Biden wins, Biden didn't kill himself. I just want to put that out there. But Kamala Harris, right away, I think Pelosi would step up to be vice president, unless she picked somebody else right away, whatever. I don't know how that works exactly, but imagine them two, even if she gets somebody in her pair, you know what I mean? So Pelosi and Kamala Harris and somebody else, like, imagine those three witches running this country, man. And here's the
Well,
thing too, like you go either way. You got Joe Biden to win, and then it's total globalism all over. But now if you get Trump to win, oh yeah, it's gonna be a good victory. But now they're gonna go all out. I mean, they're gonna have nothing to lose at this point. And Americans, they're all buying firearms right now. You better be prepared to use them because these communists are gonna have no boundaries on them anymore. They're gonna be told to unleash. And so we're going to be at a full blazing civil war right here in this country.
Well, what's concerning to me, being a dad and you
Yep.
being a dad and having a family is, they're going to push here's the thing. You've got a lot of folks out there who, where the media, the Mockingbird media, and this is no joke, pushes buttons. MK Ultra, SAR, they're pushing buttons. And that's why we're seeing this flight out there of violence, just incidents in violence. I'm not talking about the riots. They're tuning people up. They're tuning them up, and they're getting excited, and they're causing issues.
Yep.
Here's where it's concerning. When the American man and woman out there wake up, the rational individual that thinks for themselves, that can think, and I don't mean to say this, but think outside the box, they begin to understand that the government is absolutely do not care about the American people. When these folks wake up, the rational folks, the people who get up every day, go to work, they go to church, they take care of their family, they don't beat their wives, they don't beat their kids. When these folks wake up, that is when the Civil War will happen, because enough is enough. And right now, we are being very, very, I don't know what the word to say, but very complacent in what we're seeing as far as the rational individual out there. When those folks had enough and they're pushed enough, they push back, and that's when it's going to get really, really ugly. And these people that are rioting in the urban cities, when that American man and woman wake up, look out. You think you're rioting because you're bad and tough? When Americans wake up, the rational thinking Americans wake up, look out, rioters. Your time is up.
Oh yeah, because look at the statistics. I mean, we have more guns than them, and most of us, us patriots, we shoot more than the police do. You know what I mean? We're very on point. We most of us study some kind of martial arts or whatever the case, so we know how to defend ourselves very well. We outnumber these rioters thousands to one. So, if push came to shove and it was just total all war, we could squash these people like a bunch of cockroaches. But then after that, I think that's exactly when we take care of these little roaches. That's exactly when the grasshoppers of the United Nations are going to move into this country. Then now we're going to have to, after we just got done war with these people, now we're going to have to go to war with the globals. You know what I mean? So, things can get ugly real fast. And but it's all it takes is, like you said, number one is to come to the cross, come to Jesus Christ, and recognize the situation that you're in, and don't be complacent like the people in the churches today, the soft-plated churches. Recognize the situation that you're in. Realize that we're children of God. Realize that we're Americans. Stand up and fight for your rights, because all through Scripture, not one of the biblical people never laid down to tyranny. You had David, what's his name, Shamgar, so many of these people in Scripture. Joshua, I could go on forever. You know what I mean? Samson and all these people that stood up against overwhelming odds and destroyed the enemy. You know what I mean? In righteous way,
Right. Well, I just, how much time do we have left, Dan?
I think a little over 5 minutes.
Well, I just want to go in a different direction here. So last night you had Mrs. Obama give her DNC speech, online. It was about as boring as it could possibly be.
Michael Obama. Excuse me, out of cough. Michael Obama.
But anyways, these people hold us in contempt. And she was the first black woman first lady, and that's an honor in this country. And we had come a long way as a nation. And of course, she's well educated, very articulate. She's educated. As far as that goes, as academia goes, she's up there. But she's living in a $15 million mansion, right? And she's talking about poverty. She's so far disconnected from it. But that's how these people live. You look at de Blasio's wife. She's in the front page news up there in New York, having 14 people on her staff while making cookies. All while there's a 86% jump in shootings in New York City. And de Blasio's blaming the police department on that. where there's a disconnect between the politician and the American people in this country. And the laws that are on the books, the Congress writes the laws, guys.
Yep.
They write the laws. Law enforcement, it's their job to enforce it. Why are we punishing law enforcement for enforcing the laws that Congress writes? And it's Congress who has turned their backs on law enforcement in the United States. And it's just a very few, ladies and gentlemen, very few in law enforcement that stick out like bad apples. And of course, we're calling on law enforcement to do something about it. And I have a feeling they will. Mm-hmm. They will do something about it. You know, it's just making people aware of it. But there's a disconnect between politicians and the American people, and everything that they can use as a tool to twist and grind us into oblivion. They're using the police department. Now they're using the postal service. They're
Yep.
using the COVID-19. They're using masks. They're using vaccines. They're using the schools. They're using our own children.
Yep.
And what world is this saying? If there is a pandemic, if there's a pandemic out there, why in the world would we send our children to public schools in a sardine can? Why?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. And when you talk about the police, I think it was a commissioner from New York or one of the top officials in the New York Police Department. They stated nationwide there's 300 million interactions a day with the public, police nationwide, and out of those 300 million interactions a day, maybe 0.00001% might be a bad interaction, which is true. You know what I mean? And when you look at it overall, and you look at the crimes, I mean, like Doug's kill more people in 1 week than cops do all year. You know what I mean? So, and that's nationwide. You know what I mean? So, and that was Chicago alone. The deaths in Chicago in the month of July doubled the numbers of cops killing people all year. You know, so who's the problem? You know, the police are not the problem. You know, there's bad apples like you said and everything, but the police are not the problem, which all corresponds to this title of the show, the New World Order. Because here's the thing, folks, what's this got to do with the New World Order? Because we are the last vestige of freedom in this entire world. The entire world, on the bad side and the good side, are looking to see what happens in this country. Because if we allow this thing to happen, guys, the hope and freedom will be destroyed into the return of Jesus Christ. That's what's going to happen. If we don't stand up now and take a pledge to defend this country right now, it's over, plain and simple. And it doesn't matter who's president. We need to stand up now, not wait for the election. Stand up now and start doing something about it, plain and simple. If not, freedom is dead, not just for this country, the entire world. The New World Order will reign supreme once the United States is the biggest roadblock admitted by the globalists of the New World Order. And if that's out of the way, that's it. So we've got about 2 minutes left, John, and if you want to close and give people information how they can reach you.
Well, you can find us every single morning at 8 a.m. on the Cutting Edge YouTube channel. You can find us on Now UCTV. Please go to nystv.org. Check out all our content. It's all exclusive. You got documentaries that you won't see anywhere else. You've got the Book of Enoch commentary there, 31 episodes that John Pounders and David Carrico are doing. Guys, also tune in to TruthRadioShow.com with Dan Bidondi. If you want unfiltered news, check him out when he's on. He's just done a documentary. Congratulations on that, by the way, Dan.
Oh, thank you.
I watched it twice, man. Really cool.
Thank you,
really
man.
Cool that you had Doc Marquise and David Carrico on the same show. It's incredible.
Yeah, it was a blessing, both of them, I tell you, and especially David Carrico. He's a walking encyclopedia, like you say, and that's called Mystery of the Great Seal, The Birth of the New World Order. It's available on TruthRadioShow.com.
Well, I just want to say one thing out there, guys. If you've been seeking Jesus Christ in your life, please do so. Don't listen to the pulpit. Don't listen to content providers out there. The best way to do this is to open up your Bible and begin to read in Genesis and read all the way through. Find out who Jesus Christ is and follow him. Don't follow an ideal of him. Don't follow what you've heard about him. Follow him from the Word of God.
Amen.
And make him your staple in life.
Absolutely. And John, love you, brother, and I'll be in touch with you, man.
Shalom. It was fun.
Shalom.
Thank you for having me on W990 Bob, man.
Anytime, brother. So, guys, that was John Hall from NYC TV, The Cutting Edge, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Check them out. And once again, thank you so much out there for listening to the show. This is Dan Bidondi on the Dan Bidondi Show on 990WBOB.com. We'll see you soon. God bless. And you are the resistance.
The preceding program contained views, opinions, and thoughts that do not necessarily represent those of 990 WBOB, its management, or its staff. So now
If you are receiving this transmission, You are the resistance. TruthRadioShow.com.